Hi, Thomas from Field Tennis. Open stance, neutral stance, closed stance, semi-open stance, crossover step, playing off your back foot, moving forward and so on. It sounds very complicated and you might wonder, how am I going to learn all these stances and think about my feet? But what I like to say is that there is no stance. There is only your ability to hit a forehand off your left leg or off your right leg. So I must have an ability to hit a good forehand while I'm pushing off my left leg or pushing off my right leg. When I have this ability, when I'm comfortable with hitting off either leg, then all stances will just happen naturally. The reason why I'm bringing this topic up is because sometimes I see players working on their open stance forehand, for example, and they struggle with it. They don't hit it with good power and they're not comfortable doing it. And usually that's because they've been playing for a long time in just neutral stance or closed stance. So when they started to learn tennis, they were taught to step into the ball. And so they did that many times, and they're doing that most of the time when they play. So they're very comfortable pushing off their left leg for right-handers. And then when they work on the open stance and they have to go to the side, they go to the side, but they're either like this, they're losing balance, they're leaning backwards, they don't really feel what to do there. And so they're working on the open stance forehand, and yet it doesn't really work. And the reason why it doesn't work is because they didn't go deep to the essence of the stroke, which is just your ability to load the outside leg and push off that outside leg and hit the forehand. So without any movement to the side or like running around, which is also an open stance, or moving backward. So what's missing is that basic fundamental of the stroke, that basic feeling of just loading your outside leg and pushing off your outside leg and feeling very comfortable doing that. So what I just showed you is a simple diagnostics. That's how you can test yourself. You can just drop feet to yourself, step towards the ball and just check how you feel. Then just do it in open stance, hit off your right leg and just compare. How do you feel? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel good power? Do you feel stable? Are you balanced? Are you, for example, very balanced when you're hitting off your front leg, and like not very balanced when you're hitting off your outside leg? When you compare these two, you will see that you either are doing it fine, you can do it comfortably and correctly, or not. And so while this is also a drill, it's also like a diagnostics tool. You can try and see how you feel. So while I'll be demonstrating all this on the forehand side, it also applies to backhand. So you can try hitting your backhand, stepping towards the ball, and sometimes you have to play off your outside leg. Not many times, but sometimes it happens. Many more times on the two-handed backhand, so you can just drop the ball and hit and see how you feel. And if you feel uncomfortable, not in good balance, then you have to work on this basic fundamental drill, basic principle, before you go on to more complex movements on the court, where you will have to move, get to the ball, and now you will have to push off that outside leg, for example, which you don't feel comfortable. So I want to show you today a few drills how you develop this basic ability to push off each leg. And once you have this basic ability and you feel very comfortable, you feel good power, you're balanced, then you will see that the other stances that coaches like to analyze, whether that's semi-open or semi-closed or stepping over or whatever, they will happen very naturally, and you will execute them really well because you will know how to engage that leg that works in that specific stance. So one of the most fundamental drills you can do is catching and throwing a medicine ball, but since I don't have it today, we're just gonna improvise with David with a bottle of water. And it's also good for you to see that, because sometimes you go to a tournament or you're somewhere and you don't have a medicine ball, but you have a bottle of water. and you can use it for this. So the drill goes like this. I'm standing on one leg. So let's say right now I'm practicing my neutral stance forehand. So I want to feel that this leg is my working leg, and what I need to do is I need to catch and throw back while I stay on that leg. So that will help me really feel that my leg is working and that it's a dynamic process. Because when we play, we don't want to just plant the leg and then stand there. We want to feel that our leg works like a spring. So we need to load and release. So it has to be a dynamic process. We don't want to stay long for too long, because then the leg will lose, the muscle will lose that elastic effect. So we want to feel that it's a dynamic process. So the same thing I can do for open stance. I want to stay on my right leg and I want to catch and release. And that's how I practice my ability to push off the outside leg if I don't feel very comfortable with that. So the same goes for your backhand. So I can practice my backhand. So leg, leg. That would be my normal backhand, and then I can also practice open stance. So again, try to look at it as very developmental skill process, like drills, and not like very specific. Are you going to play open stance backhands a lot? No, not a lot, but sometimes it's going to be on a set point. It's going to be a really critical ball and I'll be running out wide. So I better have some solution deep inside my mind. I better feel how to do it smoothly in case I need it. Another very good exercise that helps you develop this ability to push off either foot is going upstairs. So what you can do at first is you practice your neutral stance or closed stance. So you step on the stair and then you push off, extend, and do your swing. So you go like this. You just step and you combine your swing and your leg extension, like driving up. And if I want to do it for open stance, then I step with this one, push, extend. So I go push and extend. So this is a slight exaggeration, but it helps me feel how I have to push off something. Because players many times they just step like this, they don't really feel the push. So when we practice this, push, step, you load, there's no other way than to load, and then you push and extend. So again, you can do the same for the backhand. Let's say I demonstrate now for two-handed backhand, and I would go like this. And if I want to practice open stance, then I would step with the outside foot, extend and push like this. So while you're doing that, you also want to pay attention to feeling good balance. You don't feel very wobbly. I do this drill a lot with juniors as a warm-up. They come to tennis, they do a few runs, they do a little footwork drill, and then we go a few times upstairs, developing this ability to push off either foot. Sometimes they do it with the medicine ball and they go like this. So we just develop basic biomechanics that helps them then use this ability in different positions and different stances. Another good drill you can use is to play off one leg. I mentioned that before. So what you need to do is just stand on one leg, drop feet to yourself and see if you're comfortable and balanced. So the same from the outside leg. So I'm standing here, I'm hitting the ball, I want to see if I'm balanced. So what's important here is that you don't just stand and hit the ball. What you need to pay attention to is that you feel that you go down and up a little bit. You must feel that your leg is working. So you go down and up. And then the next stage is when the coach throws you the ball. So you wait on one leg, you get the ball, and you try and feel that you go a little bit down and up. And you hit the ball and you want to stay balanced. Here's one. So you can see I can wait, and then on this leg, Again, I'm trying to do the same. I'm going a bit down and up and hit the forehand and practice my balance and try and feel that I can generate some power even though I'm just on this leg. So if you're not used to using the outside leg, then this drill will be quite difficult at first, but stay with it because this is the fundamental ability, your fundamental skill to be able to play from the outside leg. And you will need this skill when you run around the court and play open stance forehands in much more difficult situations. Another very practical way of getting used to playing off either foot, so playing off right foot or playing off left foot, is to play mini tennis with a friend or with your coach. So you just play mini tennis, and in the first stage, what I ask the player to do is to just call out their main foot, their main leg, off which leg they're playing. Because every time we hit a shot, we play it off right or off left. We don't play forehands and engage both legs equally simultaneously. Like, I don't know when that would happen, maybe on some half volleys. But otherwise, when we hit a forehand, there's always one leg dominant. So to help the player become aware of that in the first place, I just ask them to call out. So when they play, just ask them, tell me what was your dominant foot, and this would be left. So they can keep both feet on the ground, but to help them, you can ask them to lift the other foot. So this would be right, right, left. So that would be the first stage that they just call out. Now I know it might look very simple to you, but if you try it, you will see many times that players are not aware. When they play mini tennis, they're just like this. They don't know that any foot is dominant, or maybe they just stand like this. They don't know. So even if I just stand like this, I always feel some weight transfer. Even if I'm like this, I can feel that I was going from right to left. So I ended up on my left eventually. And if I'm like this, then I'm just on my right. So it's a very good introductory exercise for players to make them aware that we always play off one foot more than the other, that one foot is dominant. They pay a bit more attention to balance, and we start on mini tennis where the conditions are easy. So in summary, if you're having trouble playing a certain stance, let's say you're having trouble hitting an open stance and you're losing balance like that, you're falling off, then make sure you forget about stances first and you just work on your ability to push off either left leg or right leg. So in this case, off the right leg. So you just go in the most basic position and you hit the ball and you check, are you comfortable, are you balanced, and so on. And if you're not, if you feel that there's a difference in your comfort and balance compared to your left leg, then make sure you do the drills in this video that you saw in this video. You do them repeatedly, and then you will see that when you become more comfortable in this basic fundamental ability of hitting the ball off your right leg, then it'll be much easier to hit an open stance forehand when you move to the side.